Hi! There's a trigger warning for this video. If you're triggered by certain topics or you can't handle your own emotions, this video is probably not for you. Hi, there's also a spoiler alert for this video. I am doing segment 3 of my Harry Potter and Tyranny video. So, because we're talking about Harry Potter, there is some spoilers in there. Hi, I'm Elaine. I'm a nurse here in the state of Kansas. I am talking about how Harry Potter taught me tyranny. So I've already done books 1 through 5. So we're going to talk about 6 and 7. So we learned as millennials with these books a play-by-play basically of what our government's going to do to get power, right? How all these things show us that we're not the ones in control, that the government ultimately is, right? So in the 6th book, we learn more about the histories of before Harry Potter, right? So we learn more about Tom Riddle, Lord Voldemort, right? And how he came to be. And all the people that didn't stop him. Yeah. So I want to preface this first. Children are innocent. I'm just going to say that. Tom Riddle was a child throughout all of this. The problem is the people around him didn't give him the guidance he needed. So children at Hogwarts, they're educated from age 11 to age 17, right? So middle school and high school years, yeah? And during that time, well, let's go back a little bit further. Tom Riddle was an orphan. He was orphaned. He was in a line of very powerful, prominent wizards that ended up on hard times because of poor choices. And he lost his mother. She died giving birth to him. So he was already a troubled child living in an orphanage, and as a magical child, he was different than other kids. But he ended up being cruel. And because there was no love there, he didn't learn how to not be cruel. So then, when he was 11, and he got his Hogwarts letter, which was hand-delivered by Dumbledore. Remember Dumbledore? I've told you before, he is very delightful in not sharing information, right? So, Dumbledore gave him his letter specifically. And this was a problem, because even then, Dumbledore saw that Tom Riddle was a troubled child. And even then, Dumbledore did nothing. Now, he wasn't headmaster at the time, but he could have been a mentor. I mean, he was a wizard. You know, he was a well-respected wizard at that time, too. Okay? So, Tom Riddle goes to school. He's going to school. Everybody thinks he's brilliant and amazing, and he's smart, right? Charismatic. You know, that's another term for manipulative. Because that's what people said about him later on. Tom Riddle tried really hard to make people like him. Because he knew the power of power. Remember, I've said this before in videos, the object of power is power. It's never for the good of the people. So, Tom Riddle made connections with some of these prominent wizards and these brilliant teachers because they thought he was brilliant, right? And when he started to question questionable things in magic, nobody stopped it. Nobody decided to have that conversation with him. Nobody decided to say, you know, why do you want to know this? And later, back in book 1, we talked about this in the first video of this series, nobody decided to mention it. that these questionable things that Tom Riddle had learned about could potentially come back to haunt the wizarding world later. So, during that time, though, we're also learning how wrong Harry Potter is because of the news. Nobody wants to talk about how Harry Potter was right. Because Cornelius Fudge, in the last book, saw Voldemort. There was literally a fight in the Ministry of Magic between Harry Potter, Lord Voldemort, and Dumbledore showed up. The minister, their biggest form of government, saw it. And they still did nothing. Okay, you want to know what happened in the next book? They got a different Minister of Magic. Where have we seen that in our government? Well, you guys know what I'm talking about. So, then, the 7th book, Harry Potter is now undesirable number 1. Here, for people in the US who don't know what that means, that's the number 1 most wanted person. A 17-year-old child who's literally done nothing but fight the evil in the world by himself without any knowledge, because Dumbledore was useless, because nobody else around him could help him, because every single time it came down to the fight, Harry Potter had to do it himself. He became the most wanted, most dangerous person there was. Why? Because the government and the media played right into Lord Voldemort's hands. Posted all those lies, published all those articles. Rita Skeeter became super famous with it, remember? Remember her? They literally handed the wizarding world to Lord Voldemort on a platter. Changing the way history's written, changing laws to make non-dangerous people dangerous, putting people on lists. There was discrimination. There was genocide going on. There was racism. It became a big thing. It was a hot topic. Talking about how, goblins and elves and centaurs and giants were less than because they weren't wizards. How muggles, which are non-magic people, were less than. And you shouldn't, have babies with them. You shouldn't, interact with them. Anybody realize what this sounds like nowadays? White supremacy, black supremacy, white racism. Not that anybody wants to talk about that either. That's literally what's happening in today's society. A children's book, a literal children's book, that was, finished filming 20 some odd years ago, or beginning to be filmed, beginning to be filmed 20 some odd years ago, tells us what exactly we're doing. And we fall for it like fools. Because people don't want to see it for what it is. They're cowardly, and they just want to make things easier. Just like the rest of the folks in the wizarding world. They didn't want to rock the boat. Harry Potter taught me about tyranny. And what should you do when you're facing tyranny? You should fight against it.